We've got some unusual transition words in these choices, but let's go to the passage first, see if we can understand the connections here. Definitely some names I'm not going to bother pronouncing. These researchers report that while mathematicians may have traditionally worked alone, evidence points to a shift in the opposite direction. Okay, so we've got a lot of contrasting words. While, opposite, right? So they worked alone. Mathematicians are choosing to collaborate with their peers, a trend illustrated by a rise in the number of mathematics publications credited to multiple authors. So there's clearly some kind of contrast between the ideas of being alone versus collaborating with others. So I don't know if that's positive and negative, but it's certainly a contrast. So similarly doesn't make sense, right? That would be saying that those things are the same. For this reason is adding too much here. What is the reason, right? They're alone. Evidence points to a shift in the opposite direction. For this reason, they're choosing to collaborate. No, this is flipping the order here. We don't know what the reason they're collaborating is. We just know that they're doing it. So they're not choosing to collaborate because the evidence is saying that they're collaborating. It's just they are collaborating. We're trying to find out why maybe, but like the evidence is suggesting that. So there is no reason provided here. So that's not right. Furthermore could be correct. I mean, furthermore basically just means and. So maybe these are just two separate ideas that we're trying to convey. And is kind of a transition word that doesn't really transition at all, right? It just lets us move on to the next point. So this could be right. But I would be looking at D and saying, okay, well, this word does carry meaning. So if that's the correct meaning, I'm going to go with that. If it's not, then it's okay to kind of default to one of these vague transition words like furthermore. Increasingly obviously means something is increasing. Well, they are saying it is a rise in the number of mathematical publications. That seems right. So these people who've traditionally worked alone, evidence points to a shift, right? An increase in the opposite direction. So there's a lot of words here that kind of hit this idea of a change, and increasingly is also kind of a word that conveys that. So that is definitely the right answer. It's not that furthermore would be super wrong if we said it. It's just that it doesn't really add anything, but these sentences here are just like calling out for a much stronger transition word, and we've got one that matches with those ideas. So if you're ever between two, just try to think like, okay, words that mean and, like furthermore, like moreover, they don't really transition. So they could be used, but they aren't helpful. So if you have a word that is helpful, use the more helpful word. And then sometimes if furthermore is right, it's mostly because everything else is provably wrong. So it's going to be an answer that you default to at the end, not in the beginning, because you're like, oh, it's not going to jump out as being right.